All right. So this co-main event, what I really wanted to talk about, Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield. I am excited for this matchup because it's a really telling fight. Rose Namajunas is coming off of a win against Tracy Cortez. And with that fight, I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know how dialed in Tracy was going to be. But obviously, I remember I was talking about how only competing like once a year is probably going to have some negative effects, especially when you're in that echelon with the Roses and the Manon Fiorats and the Lexa Grassos. That's going to come back in some pretty gnarly ways, just to be honest. And it did. And I hope to see a more active Tracy Cortez on the roster, maybe fighting quarterly or maybe bi-yearly. Who knows? But Rose Namajunas has basically shown that she has a home in the flyweight division with the bigger opponents. Now, obviously, looking at the Manon Fiorot fight, that was a close fight. So going off of who did better against Manon Fiorot, that could be a possibility for how to judge who wins this fight. Rose Namajunas did really good and was a really close fight, even though Rose was basically fighting with one hand and was basically working with what she got, while Erin Blanchfield was more of a grappler, didn't have the striking Rose did. So when she tried to take Manon down, Manon was too big and strong and just kind of tossed her off. And then what happens is Manon just completely shuts down the game, keeps it in her realm, and makes sure that Erin doesn't get that submission win that she needed. And she came out on top on that. But is Rose Namajunas as strong or anti-grapply as this version of Rose, as I guess you can say, Manon Fiorot was? Well, we could look at how she's done against other wrestlers in the past, and she's done pretty good recently, even though her second fight with Carla Esparza was one of the worst title fights we've ever seen in UFC history. There's some pretty solid grounds for takedown defense and everything like that. So the point where it's like, do I think she's going to have a lot of advantageous advantages? Probably going to be a shirt making that one because I just made that one up on the fly. Trying to sound sophisticated, but is that going to be enough to shut down Erin Blanchfield's game? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see where it goes. But if Blanchfield's able to get Rose Namajunas down on the ground and get her in a really compromising position, I think we might be looking at a submission victory or where it goes. But if it goes the decision, or if Rose is able to stop that one trick that Erin Blanchfield has, I think Rose Namajunas could potentially win and then get back in the title contention to see if she could go for the flyweight title, because that one's going to be in motion again. I hope Valentina Shevchenko fights Manon Fiorot and we have a winner of that fight. And then we have Rose maybe step up to see what she could do. Because it would be pretty interesting if Rose makes it past this and then gets to the belt and then actually is the one to beat Valentina Shevchenko. There would be no doubt that she is definitely one of the most redeemed fighters in UFC. A lot of people love to hate on Rose Namajunas. They like to kind of like mock her a little bit. And I don't really see why. I mean, looking at what she's done in the sport, beating Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice, beating Zhang Weili twice. Fall short against Carlos Esparza, especially in the second one. One of the most, I wasn't a fan of that fight either, but she's come back flyweight, and she is on a run. Now, is she past her prime? Maybe. One fight could change the trajectory of this whole thing, but I do like the momentum I'm seeing from Rose Namajunas, which is why I would feel like she is my favorite in this fight. But it actually shows that Erin Blanchfield wants a gained opponent. She wants someone who is a threat so she could get back and make that statement and say, hey, I'm still in this game, because Erin Blanchfield was beating everybody until she faced Manon, and I think she's going to have some things to work on. So who knows? Maybe this entire camp, Erin Blanchfield said, I want to work on my striking. I want to be more of a stand-up fighter, and if she does that, adds a little bit more to what she's got, then I think then Erin Blanchfield could definitely pull off an upset and beat Rose Namajunas and then get back in the mix of the top contenders in the UFC flyweight women's division, because that's the thing that's very common with UFC fighters. They're either specialists in something and they never really dive into other disciplines wholeheartedly. We've seen it with Mackenzie Dern. We've seen it with Erin Blanchfield right now, even though Erin Blanchfield's a lot younger than Mackenzie Dern. Obviously, world-class jiu-jitsu can take someone down, really make it work for her. But in the striking realm, that's where she's definitely at her most vulnerable. So unless she's working on her striking, this might be a thing to get Erin Blanchfield to kick it into high gear. So maybe potentially, who knows, she can be against like Valentina Shevchenko, because if she were to face the current Shevchenko, the wrestle for 5 rounds Shevchenko that we saw from Alexa Grasso, which is way different than the dynamic striker that we saw, ages ago. We could tell Valentina Shevchenko has modified her style. I think that new style of wrestle heavy for Valentina, if she goes to the ground with Erin Blanchfield by that time because she can't strike with Erin, like picture that long shot of a call, but it might actually be the case in a few years, then I could see Erin Blanchfield submitting someone like that. But we're going to take it at this fight and see who wins this one. But it's actually just going to show who's where. And I just want to see who shows what in these rounds that we're going to see. And it's not just about who wins, but how has their game evolved? How has Rose evolved since being on this momentum streak? How has Erin Blanchfield evolved since kind of getting shut down by Manon Fiorot? Is she going to make anything different? But we'll have to see. Peace out. See you on the next.